Phone keeps cutting me off. I wonder why. The reason for all this has to do with the consequences that may arise not only from the impact upon the public, should the existence of such matters become general knowledge, but also the danger of having such advanced technology as has been recovered by the Air Force fall into the hands of unfriendly foreign powers. Accordingly, the manual provides strict instructions concerning the need for absolute secrecy in all phases of operation, including a press blackout. Great care must be taken to preserve the security of any location where extraterrestrial technology may be retrievable for scientific study. Extreme measures must be taken to protect and preserve any material or craft from discovery, examination, or removal by civilian agencies or individuals of the general public. It should be remembered when selecting a cover story that official policy regarding UFO BS is that they do not exist. The most desirable response would be that nothing unusual has occurred. Witnesses will be discouraged from talking about what they have seen, and intimidation may be necessary to ensure their cooperation. If witnesses have already contacted the press, it will be necessary to discredit their stories. This can be best done by the assertion that they have either misinterpreted natural events, are the victims of hysteria or hallucinations, or are the perpetrator of hoaxes. Authenticating such material is challenging, but it is similar to forensic investigation of questioned legal documents. Exhaustive research by Dr. Robert Wood has demonstrated that both the manual is formatted exactly like manuals of the same period archived at the Army War College, and that it displays unique characteristics of hot lead presses used in the 1950s, unlike computer programs that might fake such a document today. The 32-page document dated April 1954 has been shown to be consistent with the 1953 style manual that guided printing in all government agencies, including classified printing at the CIA. Even the change control pages were on the film showing ongoing updates from MJ sources in a fashion of typical government procedure, and text stamped on inside one. Oh my god. Even the change control pages were on the film showing ongoing updates from MJ sources in a fashion typical of government procedure, and text stamped onto one side inside page associates the document with a unit KB-88, Building 21, Kirkland Air Force Base, New Mexico. Building 21 did exist at the time. The document's appendix cites other military manuals perfectly down to the last letter and comma, some of which changed just months later. The manual's reference to a UFOB guide section on pages 22 through 25 corresponds to a document released in 1985 under FOIA to Mr. Brian Parks from the Air Force Historical Research Center at Maxwell Air Force Base. In reply to requests for UFO records of the 4602 Air Intelligence Service Squadron, there emerged a UFOB guide dated 15th March 1955 with text identical to the guide included in the SOM 101 Special Operations Manual. Other word usage subtleties are also compelling, such as screwdriver being two words and craft tape being called for instead of the modern duct tape. The list of authenticity points is very long, and anachronisms such as use the cover story of a downed satellite 3 years before a satellite went to space turn into points of authentication since major print and TV outlets widely covered artificial satellites starting in 1952. At least 3 witnesses have come forward to state that they have seen the manual U.S. Navy yeoman, second class Dale Bailey, who served in a Crystal City, Virginia building that housed Navy offices outside Washington, D.C., reports that in 1976 he was assigned to shred documents from the vault of Admiral Frederick H. McCallis, who was Chief of Naval Material from 1975 to 1978. Bailey stated that the Admiral was a personal friend of Admiral Bobby Inman, who between 1974 and 1982 served as Director of Naval Intelligence, Vice Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Director of the National Security Agency, and Deputy Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Bailey recalled that Admiral McCallis' duties also included intelligence-related matters and periodic services at Raven Rock, sometimes called the Underground Pentagon, located 6 miles north of the presidential retreat at Camp David near Fort Ritchie. Bailey states that in order to create more room in the inner vault of the Admiral's office, old files were destroyed. As he helped to shred documents, he saw a copy of the top secret UFO briefing document for President Eisenhower, as well as a version of the top secret SOM 101 Special Operations Manual, whose instructions on material handling would be consistent with the mission of naval material. Recent investigation also shows that Admiral McCallis himself had once commanded the Naval Air Special Weapons Facility at Kirtland Air Force Base from 1951 through 1954. The jargon special weapons refers to atomic energy, a subject closely associated with UFOs since sightings and crashes have occurred near nuclear installations. Recovered UFOs have reportedly been secured and analyzed at nuclear laboratories, and UFO propulsion may derive from atomic reactors. Those with access to special weapons programs are already cleared and presumably trustworthy to protect other great secrets, in addition to operational duties including command of the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise. McCallis's senior staff assignments included the Strategic Plans Division of the Chief of Naval Operations CNO, Director of Development Programs, Office of the CNO, Assistant Chief of Naval Operations, Air and Commander, Naval Air Force Atlantic Fleet. He was certainly in a position to have dealt with aircraft encountering UFOs, handling of recovered UFO material, related issues of atomic power, and implications for naval strategy. Skeptics to the authenticity of SOM 101, such as Richard Hall, a former congressional aide, typically say, "I've looked at countless numbers of official documents and it looks fake to me." In general, what our team has observed is that people who have had security clearances or been in position of authority and were not aware of the extraterrestrial matter just can't believe they were out of the loop. It's ego. Furthermore, we have not found any skeptics to interview who had top secret code word access in the 1950s. Archives